What's up guys, Aaron Bennett here. Welcome back to a Celsius Network update video. I am back in the laundry room at the campsite I am at. Yesterday I went to Jackson, Wyoming and I loved it, and I decided to come back to where I am now because I realized I'm going to have to head south for the winter and I want to get a good winter location set up. So I'll talk a little bit about that later in the video, kind of what I'm up to. But in today's video on Celsius Network, I want to talk about basically four things. The first, why salt lending may be important for the future of Celsius. I'm going to go over some tweets from Simon Dixon and others. I also want to talk about why Simon thinks that if Alex stays on board and Alex's plan continues, it's going to result in a Chapter 7, which basically most people do not want, especially when we're selling the assets at a bear market, which I'll talk about again later in this video, and then taking a look at the profitability of each Celsius Network entity. This came in, I believe, 2 days ago on Stretto. And finally, I'll finish up with the Alex Simon Twitter debacle, again, my last video, just going over what I think is probably the best solution right now. But a lot of people were asking me, what do I think? What do I think is the right solution here? Obviously, I've been in the Celsius community for over 2 years, been making videos often every week covering the AMAs for years, so I have a good understanding about what was happening before this bankruptcy started. So I will end the video talking more about just my personal ideas about everything and what I think would be best moving forward. So talking about salt lending, we know that Simon wants to buy salt lending, which could be a competitor of Celsius. And Alex basically said, hey, Simon just wants to take customers away from Celsius and bring them into salt lending and buy up Celsius for very, very cheap under market value. But here's why Simon thinks that salt lending really matters. He says you need securities, lending, custody, and money transmitter banking licenses, but Alex is asking us to invest in his new startup, which we did kind of hear with the leaked audio, that has no licenses while regulators want to remove the lending ones Celsius Network did have. That leads to Chapter 7, which I'll cover later in this video, why Chapter 7 probably isn't ideal right now. So yeah, Simon says that Alex does not have the proper licenses to make his new company that he wants us to join, his new Kelvin, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't have the proper licenses, the banking licenses, the lending, securities, money transmitters, and Simon is saying that the regulators want to remove the lending ones that Celsius already had. So if that is true, that's a big deal. And here talking about SALT, someone said SALT is a consumer finance lender in the state of California. Celsius's consumer finance lender license is suspended and likely to be revoked. And here somebody said that SALT is a registered investment advisor firm with the SEC. Celsius has never been registered as an investment advisor or a broker-dealer. I remember seeing David Adler, the lawyer representing the custody accounts, saying he couldn't believe that Celsius got this big without regulators saying, hey, what the heck are you guys doing? So he thinks there were some laws being broken or some gray areas that Celsius was operating in, I should say, and he's amazed that regulators did not put the clamp down sooner. So from his perspective, and he is a bankruptcy attorney, way smarter than me, I would agree with him and say that, yeah, maybe Celsius didn't do everything perfect from the start, and maybe starting a new company, they will need different licenses. And this picture says at least 40 state security regulators are investigating Celsius for potential unregistered securities activity, mismanagement, securities fraud, and market manipulation, according to the Texas and Vermont filings. Now that Vermont filings, a lot of you guys read that, or I made a whole video on that. Basically, very, very incriminating stuff, essentially calling Celsius a Ponzi. So if this is true, there are a lot of states independently looking at Celsius saying that, hey, you weren't doing everything right. So that is the argument for salt lending. Now, is Simon a bad actor? Does he want to take all of Celsius's customers away? Or is he trying to prevent a Chapter 7 liquidation? I will cover that later in the video, but those are good questions. Who is acting in our best interest? Is it what Alex is saying? saying right now? Or is it what Simon is saying right now? Do they have ulterior motives? These are the questions that I'm digging into and that I will obviously cover in these videos. And I want to take a brief second to talk about the sponsor of this video, which is iTrust Capital. What iTrust Capital is a regulated company that allows you to open up a Roth IRA or traditional IRA or any type of retirement account and invest in crypto. And these are all of the different cryptocurrencies that you can invest in, including physical gold and silver, which you can see right here. One of the benefits of iTrust is that they keep your coins in completely cold storage, like with Coinbase custody. And right here is my Roth IRA. I have $3,200 worth of Bitcoin. Now, what's really cool about a Roth IRA is you can trade tax-free. So let's say Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and I sell all of my Bitcoin. I will not be taxed on those gains. And there's just a 1% trading fee, so I could make a lot of profits and not have to pay capital gains. And also with the Roth IRA, when you retire, you do not pay the IRS 1 freaking cent. So there's a link below, guys. If you want to use it to set up an account, you are going to get $100 in Bitcoin when you go ahead and fund that account with $1,000 or more. But if you're a little unsure, you can go ahead and click the link, enter your email, create an account, and then decide if this is something that you would like to do. All right, guys, now let's go ahead and get back to the video. So let's talk about Chapter 7. I'm going to go to this tweet right now. Simon says, to avoid Chapter 7 and to have a chance at recovery, I believe you need a plan that regulators won't block, and Alex is a magnet for Chapter 7 in his opinion. I hate confrontation, but it's the only way you can communicate with bullies. Yikes. They don't do diplomacy, which is my style. So Simon, again, kind of fighting with Alex here, but that's not the point of this video. Basically, is saying that if Alex and the new company do not get the proper licenses, they will just be shoved into Chapter 7, which will liquidate everything. And again, I'll talk about why that probably isn't the best solution right now. And here Simon talks a little bit more about Chapter 7. He says, I want to avoid Chapter 7 by not letting Alex take us there when he asks us to invest our funds in his new startup that I believe will be shut down by regulators. I want Chapter 11 equity and assets so I have a chance to be made whole. So let me sum up what this means. Chapter 7 would be liquidating every asset right now. It would affect the Bitcoin price as a whole. It would obviously destroy Cell Token if they liquidate Cell, and if they had to sell the mining and GK8, they would get a very, very bad price for it because we are in a bear market. So let's take a look at the profitability of Celsius's entities. Now, what we have right here is a statement of income as of June 30th, 2022. So you can see that there are a lot of entities, right? There's one in Serbia, Lithuania, Israel. We have the GK8, Cyprus, Australia, and Gibraltar. But what is very interesting is right here under Lithuania, for a net income, looks like they made $173 million. Let me just zoom in on this, $173 million. Now, I am not a CPA, but this number stood out because in Serbia, $114,000, so not that much. There was a $9 million loss in Israel, $2.6 million loss in the GK8, and the rest are losses as well. And all of a sudden you go to Lithuania and they're freaking rolling in the cash. So as I get more information about this, I'll let you know. But I was like, what is this? What are they doing in Lithuania? How are they making that much money? But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So let me finish the video just with my overall thoughts, especially with my last video talking about the Alex and Simon fight on Twitter. The only thing I care about, which I said in the first video after the freeze and after the bankruptcy petition. The only thing I care about is getting all the creditors, you, myself, everybody who has money locked with Celsius, as much of that money back as possible in as quickly a time frame as possible. It's the only thing I freaking care about, guys. So all of these Team Alex, Team Simon, what David Adler thinks, Thomas Braziel, all of this stuff that if you're on Twitter, you've been seeing, all of this drama, I don't really care. I just want us to get our money back as quickly as possible, or as much of it as possible, right? Even if that takes 2 to 3 years, I want a plan, right? So I agree with Alex when he's like, we need plans to be sent to the UCC. Now, the confusing part is when Simon is like, no, the proper channel is to go through the investment banks. Now, I don't know the exact answer to that. One thing I will say is David Adler says that was a semantic issue. I don't have that tweet saved, but he says that basically going through the investment bankers is essentially the same thing, more or less, as going through the UCC because they will have to communicate with each other anyway. So I don't think that was as big of an argument as we thought it was. I think that was more just like, semantics and words. And Alex was obviously really upset. I mean, he's had like 2 months of not being able to talk. So all this stuff is being said and he can't defend himself. So that's just what I wanted to end the video on. I don't care about all the drama. I just want us to get our money back. And I think we all are in the same boat there. So I will update you with updates about everything and let you guys know what's going on. But that's the only thing I care about. And if you made it this far, let me just update you guys a little bit about what I'm doing living in a van. So yes, I've been living in a van for I think 2 months now. I've traveled from Albuquerque, where I got the van. The highest I've gone yesterday was Jackson, Wyoming, which was beautiful, and I really want to go back next spring. So in a nutshell, I have been having health issues for about a decade. And that's a whole nother video series in and of itself. But essentially, living in a van allows me to experience different locations. And what I'm noticing is that different symptoms either get better or worse in different locations. And I'm also single, have no kids, so I may as well live in a van, right? All right, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.